Hey dreamers! Recently I reached a milestone in my portfolio with my Canadian stocks. Over $2,000 in dividend income every quarter. I'd just like to say thanks to my Canadian friends. You guys are awesome. In this video I'll show you my Canadian stock portfolio, how much it pays in dividends, what I've been selling and buying lately, and my ultimate goal as I grow this part of my investments. One of the reasons why I wanted to actively grow my Canadian stocks is that I'm always looking for ways of diversification in this volatile market, including geographical. Because as you know, there's different economies, politics, currency that can help you spread out your risk if you look across borders. Also, Canadian stocks have a tax advantage for U.S. investors that other countries don't. Basically, you don't pay any additional taxes if you hold Canadian stocks in a retirement account, like a 401k, 403b, or IRA, due to a special treaty between the US and Canada. So as you can see here, it says I have 97% of my investments in North American domestic stocks. But these simple tools in Fidelity and TD, they don't show you how that breaks down specifically in terms of Canada. I wish it did. It would be much easier to track. So I created my own spreadsheet. Let me give you a quick tour of how my investments progressed in terms of the Canadian stocks. I actually started buying SJR Shaw in July of 2020, and I then added Bank of Nova Scotia also in July of 2020, followed by BCE. I started buying in December of 2020. So those are my three stocks that I really started with. And you can see the heavy positions here. I've got $92,761 in BCE. That kicks off about $5,000 a year. I've got almost $40,000 in BNS. That kicks off $1,700 a year. And then with Shaw, I've got $31,000, and that kicks off about $1,000. So those three are my biggest positions and the ones I started with. After that, I started doing research for other Canadian stocks and found CM, TU, TD, RY, and those were the next ones I started adding to my position. So I've been adding to those just really slowly over the last year and trying to diversify and also increase my Canadian exposure. My recent buys have been AQN, so I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that in the latter part of this video, and also what I've been doing with Shop. As you can see, I've only got one share there, so I actually have sold some shares of Shop, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as well. So in total, I've got $173,841 in Canadian stocks. You can see that I've really tried to balance this BCE position of 92,000 with these other positions that now equal over $81,000. And so in total, I've got 11% of my entire investments in Canadian stocks. So my entire investment portfolio right now is just under 1.6. 11% of that is Canadian stocks. My entire portfolio is almost to $70,000 annual income, and the Canadian stocks represent about 12% or $8,141 annually, which kicks out just over that 2,000 mark every single quarter. So I'm going to continue to add to this over time, and actually my goal is to get to about 20% or more. The reasons why I chose telecom and bank stocks and all of that data to support are in my other video called My Favorite Canadian Stocks. And if you want to check it out, you can see all of that data. Also, if you have some favorite Canadian stocks, I'd love to hear about it. So feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll respond. Okay, so what have I been buying and selling? So the main Canadian stock that I sold recently was Shopify, and it's not because I don't believe in Shopify. I actually think it's a great company that's going to grow and be huge in the future. It's just that right now I opted to take the volatility down in my portfolio. And actually, as you'll see in a second, I really sold too late. I went through all of my growth stocks recently and just right-sized them to where I think the volatility is right now in 2022 in those stocks. So Shopify was actually the last one that I sold because I was actually planning to hang on to it as a long-term hold. But I just decided, you know what? I had 5 stocks. I sold 4. I'm going to keep my foot in the door so that I can watch it and then hopefully jump back in when I have a little bit more cash on hand. So I sold that 4, got 4,000 out of it, and started redistributing it into some of the other Canadian positions. And you can see here, this is where I bought those 5 shares of Shopify. It started running up. I started getting very nervous. It became outsized in terms of, the valuation to what it actually is. And then, I should have sold over here at the end of last year where I sold most of my other growth stocks before it went all the way down, and I sold, right where this black dot is. So, not a huge loss to me. And I do think that it will start to, go back up here soon, and maybe I'll jump back in. But just for now, those are the ones that I sold. Now, this is one that I'm buying, and you may be thinking, why am I talking to you about something that I only have $70 invested in? Well, it's because that's just the starting position. That's just the very beginning. So I just started buying this stock. You can see where the black dot is. It's basically 119 of 2022. That was when I first bought those shares. And what I am seeing, I'm liking. So I'm seeing that there's been 12 years of consecutive dividend growth and consecutive payouts. You can see what that looks like here, just a nice trend upwards, which is what you like to see. And also I'm seeing other things I like in the research. Most analysts are saying that the stock price has gone to its bottom, and that's what I like to see as well. And that also we're going to see some appreciation in the stock price. So at a 4.83 yield and a little bit of a downturn here for something that's super safe, I'm liking this as one that I'm going to start to add to. In addition, the other thing I like is that they are heavily investing in renewables. So there could be a nice long-term growth play. So this AQN is something that I'm happy that I found, and I'm going to be adding to more in the future. So let me end by just saying I've been so pleased with the first initial picks of Canadian stocks that I made. Since my last video, BCE has announced a 5.1% increase to their dividends. So think about that. I've got $92,000, almost $93,000 in BCE, and I just got a 5% raise. I mean, that dividends are just amazing to me. So a raise from BCE, and late last year, BNS announced not only an 11% dividend raise, but a repurchase plan on their stocks of 24 million of its own shares. So really excited about BNS as well. Not to mention the 22% increase in stock price for BCE and the over 30% increase in BNS. I'm just loving these 2 picks. SJR I'm happy with for completely different reasons. Namely the announcement of the acquisition in March 2021, which bumped the price up significantly, and I'll just be waiting for that Rogers deal to close here shortly. So needless to say, very happy with these initial 3 picks, and I'll be looking for others to add to the portfolio. And I know I've got some amazing Canadian investors watching, so if you do have some recommendations or stocks that you're interested in, please leave them in the comments. I'll be interested to take a look. I will continue on my journey to get to at least 20% of my portfolio in Canadian stock, as I believe some of them offer that holy grail of income, some growth, and safety. I hope you join me again to see what happens. That's it for today. As always, I encourage you to keep learning, keep implementing, and do your own research, as I'm not a financial advisor. So keep in mind these videos are for entertainment and inspiration only. I'll see you on the flip side.